Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Mixed Martial Arts, episode 5. We have some great guests today. We had an awesome week. I know with crypto, little odd, but we actually had an awesome week at MRI. Let's bring up Bryce, our developer, our main guy. What's going on, Bryce? How you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself, Brandon?
I'm doing pretty well. A little roughed up from training, but other than that, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited for today's episode. We have some amazing guests going to be coming on today, and I'm excited. So we had an awesome weekend with UFC 274. Other than that, all of crypto seems to be freaking out, but if you've noticed in the Telegram, our community is holding strong. Really good spirits in there, and we're actually holding up really well considering the market conditions.
No, I agree. And it's truly incredible to see what has happened to the market. I know it's obviously not the best and not what a lot of people were expecting, but nonetheless, MRI is still holding strong. I know the community is coming together. I love it. I had a VC or a voice chat with a lot of the more seasoned investors earlier today, and yeah, we had a little conversation about steps moving forward. But I'm really excited to see what we have in store. I can't wait to unveil it. But yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more later on.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I mean, we had UFC 274. It was an awesome event. We had a lot of good promotion that week and that whole weekend leading up. Like I said, with the market conditions, if you were to look at our social media and what's been going on, what we've been working, I mean, you would have thought nothing's been going on the crypto side of things. As far as the MMA community is concerned, things are still running business as usual. We're still supporting fighters. We're still doing the things that we're doing, still promoting. I mean, we got billboards, we got flyers. We're always doing new stuff. So that's one thing I'm super excited about. And we're just going to keep growing. When the market comes up, we're just going to blast off that much harder. So one thing I want to get into was probably our first guest of the day. So let's introduce Charles Jourdain. What's going on, man?
What's up? I'm doing good. Thank you for having me, guys. It's an honor. I'm going to learn a lot, and I'm very grateful to be here with you.
Hey, the pleasure's all mine. So you just came off a very impressive win off of Lando Vannata via guillotine. How did you feel about that fight? And can you kind of walk us through what was going on?
So Vannata was one of the biggest name I've ever fought with Duo Choi, and so it was a scary fighter. He was a very good guy, even though he has ups and downs, like split decision loss against Bobby Green, this and that. He always bring the war, and he had a very tough fight at featherweight against Mike Grundy, and man, he looked phenomenal at 145. It's a very good weight class for him. But yeah, the build-up was intense because, I saw him. I like to look at what people say about me. I'm a curious man, and every time I was watching his interviews, it was always like he was going to run over me. And me, never in my life I had this idea that I would run over anyone, because a fight, the probability of you getting hit by a kick, a punch, a elbow, just one single thing, the probability are so high that I'm never that confident going into a fight. I'm going to prepare myself to the best of my ability, but never in my life I entered the cage. I was like, it's going to be easy. It's a fight. There's nothing easy about a fight, unless you're paired with like most of these guys in boxing who are fighting Mexicans who are 0-34 lost by knockout. Now you got okay, now you can talk about easy. But MMA, it's a ruthless sport, a little bit more than any other fighting sport. So yeah. So long story short, I was very afraid of Lando Vannata. He's a very game fighter, and the only guy who managed to finish him was Tony Ferguson after 3 rounds of slicing him up with elbows, getting dropping, and then he finally secured a choke. And me,
if you don't mind, I want to reference to our community, because we have a lot of guys that are maybe somewhat newer to the MMA world. Lando Vannata, that was his first fight in the UFC. It was against Tony Ferguson, and it was on short notice. And ever since then, he's had very tough fights. He's had, I think, 3 fight of the nights, a performance of the night. He's a very explosive, exciting fighter to watch. So that was a great matchup, and where you're coming from, yes, that was a very that was a very tough fight to take on your end.
Yes, and it turned out the way it did because of a very meticulous and very intense preparation. I'm getting better every fight. Me, when I look at fighters that I'm fighting, I'm looking at the last three, maximum is last three fight, and I see how much he improve in between these. What scares me about a fighter is how much he improves in between fights. If he does the same thing over and over and getting a little bit better, it's good. I'm going to prepare hard, but I'm getting scared when I see a guys that like Lando who can mix grappling, jiu-jitsu, like all of his fights are different because he keeps getting better, and that's impressive. That's what all the fighters need to do, because fighters get implemented into their head like oh, you were up and coming as a wrestler, you need to be a wrestler and focus on the wrestling and a little bit of striking, a little bit in that, but keep focusing on wrestling. That's like putting all your eggs in the same basket when you're investing. You don't do that. You need to multiply your sources of income and investment. So
Nice analogy there.
yeah, thank you. So yeah, very scary opponent, but I managed to drop him. But before I dropped him, before the fight actually started, I saw him at the weigh-in, and he weighed in exactly at 146, and he seemed surprised because when we were on the scale, me and Marc-André Barrio, my fellow Canadian fighter, we were on the scale, and the UFC scale before we arrived on the official one was 1 pound. I was at 145.5. And then when I entered the room and waited on the official scale of the commission, I was 144.5, which I would never cut an extra pound. That would be stupid. I don't want to be dehydrated too much. So that was weird. So when I saw Lando arrive, he was like 20 minutes left. Enter on the scale, he looked dead, like eyes weird, and like the cheek were going inside of his jaw. That's how much dehydrated he was. And when he saw 146, he screamed like as if he was surprised or just happy to have made it. So when I saw that, I'm like, there's two ways of looking at it. Either he's going to be super dehydrated and it's going to affect his performance tomorrow, or man, I got a man who's willing to almost die to make weight. So this is very scary. This guy is willing to do everything. So me, I always take the scarier approach. So I was like, okay, this man is ready for everything. But after I dropped him, I secured the guillotine, the one-arm choke. I was very happy. We had a little exchange. He said, man, you hit me really hard. But this guy fought some very big 155er. So maybe it's because I dropped most of, like, I got 8 fights in the UFC. I think 6 of them, I dropped them with my left hand. I think I have a pretty good left hand. But when he said it was one of the biggest punch I've ever received, then I was like, maybe the dehydration part was not that good. Like, it's okay to make 145, but you want yourself at your best. So, but hey, it's not my concern. I'm not his dad, so he can do whatever he wants with his career. But it's just something that was like, man, I'm not concerned too much, but I'm like me, I could do 135. I would never do that weight. I would need to be on diet all year long. And I'm sure it would affect my brain, affect my body, affect too much. Like, I don't care about being the biggest fighter. I want to hit hard and be fast, be quick. So yeah, 135 I could do, but I'm staying at 145 for my whole career. There's no way I'm going to 135. So yeah, long story short, that was my adventure against Lando Vannata. A very good win, and it's positioning me towards that top 15 sooner or later.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, you had, I believe it's 8 fights so far in the UFC. And now I notice you're starting to really gain some traction. A lot of people are starting to know who you are. And what is that journey and that road while you've been in the UFC been like for you?
I arrived in the UFC at 23, so now I'm 26. So it was a big, like 23-year-olds in UFC. It's very rare that they manage to fight these 32-year-olds from Team Alpha Male. Let's say I fought Philly, I got a split decision, but the first time I really saw the difference in physicality between me and these guys. So I improved a lot on this aspect. So yeah, I had a bumpy road. I had a draw in Abu Dhabi, which was very controversial because like on the judges. Well, anyway, I won't talk about it too much, but I had a draw, and the second and third rounds were mine, like in the pocket. But yeah, some ups and downs. Now I'm racking up 2 wins with good momentum, and yeah, people. I'm blowing up on TikTok, social media. I'm not even like trying to get attention. I don't mind about attention. I'm living a pirate life. I go in, I get the gold, and I come back home and I live a very simple life. I train, eat, and sleep, and I enjoy quality time with my small inner circle of friends and family. So I'm not a big fan of getting too much attention, but hey, it's fun at the same time. I have fun with people online.
Well, and with more attention, now you could kind of call out a little bit more people than you like. I mean, who do you see? Is there a particular fighter that you want to call out? I know you said you want to start looking into cracking that top 15 of
Yeah.
that featherweight division. So, is there anyone in
Uh-huh.
particular you're looking to match up against?
I'm not that pressed. I know I had some back and forth online with Edson Barbosa because I called him out, and he liked that. He said he never said no to a fight, and maybe Paris in September would be fun for him, fun for me. But right now, my goal is not to get the belt. My goal is to get better to make sure I can compete against these guys who get the belt, because I don't want to be a one-hit wonder. You get to the belt, then you lose it, and then like you kind of fade away. I want to be like Volkanovski, man, like the performance he just did and the way he just said that he's gonna improve even more from that. Like like just a few seconds later, I was talking about improvement. He's the champ, and he improved drastically between each fight. This is so impressive. Sometimes they fight more defensive, like let's say George, when he was champion, he was not fighting the same way as he was doing when he was against when he was going up to get the belt. It was different era, of course, but George, when he had the belt, it was like about protecting that belt, protecting his legacy and everything.
Yeah.
And Alexander the Great, he's fighting like a conqueror. Like he's no king sitting on the throne. He's conquering stuff. He's conquering everyone. So even though at first I didn't love the fact that he won against Max, because I'm a Max, like I'm a little girl when she sees Justin Bieber. That's me if I see Max Holloway, you know. So yeah, but yeah, it's all about improvement and seeing the champion getting so much better fast in like 3 months span, and now he's gonna fight Max in a couple of months. It's the featherweight division is more alive than ever, and it's pretty incredible to see that.
No, it's definitely one of the more stacked divisions in the UFC, in my opinion.
Yes.
And like you said, I mean, you were, would you say, 22, 23 when you got into the UFC, and you were still kind of growing into your body. I mean, athletes don't really reach their physical peak until they're in their 30s, like or 30, 32, around that area. So, like you said, even if you were to make like a title run, why do it now at this point when what are you going to do? Defend the belt for 10 years straight? I mean, that's, that's going to be very difficult. So, getting better, focusing on that, that's a very smart decision of you.
Yes,
But
sir.
yes, starting to crack into that top 15 rankings. I would love to see that fight with you and Edson Barboza. Absolutely.
That would be sick.
Yeah. Quick question. Going back on what you talked about earlier with the scales with Lando Vannata, that's now the second time we've kind of heard people saying that the scales beforehand are different from the scales at the actual weigh-ins.
Yes.
Was that the first time you've ever dealt with that on the scales for the UFC, or is that a common issue?
It always differs a bit, because they say no, it's calibrated, because they put a 5-pounder on it, and they put 5-pounder on this one, and then they kind of manage to have an approximate idea. But us, it's a matter of grams, what's his name, Oliveira. Like Oliveira could have shaved his hair, I think, and he would have could get off that half pound, and I was very surprised that he was like, just spitting in a cup or going for a little sweat or whatever, because he was 0.5, but he looked already dehydrated enough, so he didn't need to do that. And but yeah, I remember in Bellator long time ago, a fighter shaved his dreads because he was like 2 pounds over, and he had like 2-3 pounds of hair, and he shaved it to make weight. So I mean, that's dedication, man. The guy said he had his dreads for like 10, 12 years, and I was like, you know what, I didn't make weight, it's my problem. And he was like, it was a sacrifice towards the fact that I wasn't professional enough. So he made himself pay for that. And I thought it was very cool for him to be like, no, I need to make weight. And 12 years commitment, boom, no more.
Wow.
So yeah, that was pretty warriorish of him.
That's crazy. And in my personal opinion, it's weird because they use a different scale in the back. That they use a digital scale in the back, and then they
Yes.
use like a doctor's scale. So yeah, one of those. Yeah, I think it's a doctor's scale that they call it. So I do definitely find that pretty odd. I do believe that the scale that you weigh in the back before you step on the actual official scale, I do believe those scales should probably be the same type of scale at minimum. That's just my personal opinion. But anyway, let's go back on even earlier in your career. How did you first initially get into martial arts? And let's just talk about your career coming up as an amateur fighting in the promotions in Canada.
All right. So I started because I was just curious about it. And I arrived next to a little shop, and there was a kickboxing school, cardio kickboxing it was called. And my father was like, "Do you want to go?" And he subscribed me and my little brother Louis, and I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And we started as fun. And after that, we watched our first event. I think it was UFC 137. It was BJ Penn against Nick Diaz. George was supposed to fight, but he blew out his ACL. He was on the sideline, so they put in BJ Penn against Nick, and we saw that, and we're like, "Oh my God, this is amazing, this sport." And so I wasn't there during the Shogun, Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture era. I was not big. I was not aware of it back then. So I grew up from 137 to 200. I think I didn't miss a single event.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty crazy. Yeah, I was watching it, and then the more and more it became a job for me, I started to lessen watching it a bit because I needed my weekend off. So yeah, I just subscribed myself to that little school, me and my brother, and then we started to train. And then one guy who ended up being one of my coach, Eric, arrived at the gym. He's like, "Oh, we're looking for fighters." Then my coach, Karim and Woody, said, "Do you guys want to fight?" Like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And me and my brother managed to win. My brother choked him with a guillotine, and I got a triangle choke on the guy. And when we got out of the ring, because we were fighting in the ring, Brendan Thatch was there. I don't know if you're familiar with the guy. Brendan Thatch was a very huge dude from, was he Canadian? No, he was from Colorado. Well, he was fighting on the scene in Montreal for a bit. He fought at Instinct and all some of these shows. And he was there training at TriStar. He came to that little show on the South Shore of Montreal. He said, "Oh, you kids are good." And he looked at me and my brother, you might get somewhere someday. And I was like, UFC fighter just told me after my first fight that I can do it. This is crazy. This is amazing for me. So this is kind of a little spark that started. And then we started to watch UFC, start fighting amateur here and there. And then fighting around Quebec, and then the MMA became illegal, so we had to fight on the Indian reserve. So I became champion into Indian reserve. It was Fight Quest, and I became champion over there. And after that, I worked as a little bartender. I just turned 18, started making good money, and then I paid myself a trip to Thailand because everybody was like, "Oh, you need to go to Thailand to learn about Muay Thai." So all the penny I had, I sold everything I had. I just, okay, let's go. I went to Thailand with one of my coach, and then I was like, wow. I did my first fight, knocked the guy out, and the guy arrived with a little envelope, and he gave me 1,000 baht. 1,000 baht, it was equivalent to like 40 bucks Canadian. It's like 30 bucks US. And the spark exploded. I'm like, wow, you tell me I can get paid to punch someone in the face? This is pretty amazing. This is crazy. So yeah, that was the little spark that made me fall in love with the fact that I can make money, I can earn a living. And it was just 30 bucks, but it was the concept of making money for doing something you love. So I did another fight 2 weeks later, boom. And then I came back to Montreal, and I was like, okay, let's turn pro now. Like, I want to get paid. Because amateur, you're not getting paid. You're getting punched in the face. You can get your nose broken. You can get a lot of injuries doing it. And unfortunately, you're not getting paid. So I was like, okay, this is good for experience, but it's a little bit stupid because some guys have like career-ending injuries in amateur for $0.
Yep.
So anyway, that's then I turned pro. Then the TKO scene came back. TKO was the place where George St. Pierre, David Loiseau, and many great Mark Hominick. All the Canadians were fighting over there at TKO. And then those are the two belts that you see in the back. I became the featherweight champion at 145 and the lightweight champion at 155. And then the UFC called me and was like, okay, we got a double champ from Canada. He's 22, 23. Let's invite him to the UFC. I came in short notice against Desmond Green, 155. And I lost by decision in Rochester. It was the most weird place I've ever been with in the world. Like Rochester, man, was something. We were just, some kids having fun, man. And I never, I'm not gonna get into the racist thing, but I was getting called whatever you want, throw stuff, throw beer, throw everything because of my skin. It's an area where there's a lot of black folks, and they were super nice, most of them. But when people knew I was fighting the old-time guy, they were throwing stuff at me and like, oh, you piece of shit, and they called me all sorts of names. But I don't care. I didn't make a big deal out of it. I respect their enthusiasm, and I respect the fact that they want to back their boy. But hey, me and their boy were about to fight, so you didn't need to throw beer or shit at me, So no, it was an intense experience, and I enjoyed every second of it. I didn't get any injury. Fought my first UFC fight, got booed by 22,000 people, got shit thrown at me, chairs, whatever. And then after the fight, everybody wanted to take picture. You're so cool, na 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 na. But before, it was pure animosity. So when I went to Korea afterwards to fight Choi, it was totally different, man. Like the martial art has been around for so many years in most of Asian countries, and people are super respectful. People were taking pictures saying, 감사합니다, meaning thank you in Korean. Like, people were super respectful. And, just different mentality, different with the fact that martial arts has been around for so many years in Japan, China, Korea, and all those countries. So both of them, crazy experience. And then after that, the pandemic hit, and then I started to fight with no fans. So I missed that. It's been since the fight with Choi that I didn't have a full capacity crowd cheering after me, but it's about to change now.
Awesome. Yeah, man, no, that's a one wild of a story. I mean, me personally, I'm 24, so when I grew up watching MMA, George St. Pierre, he was my idol. So how big of an influence and was George St. Pierre to you growing up, coming up in the sport?
I might surprise you, but George, of course, was the ignition. It's the first thing I type on YouTube. I remember I was young, it was GSP. I got YouTube up and I was like GSP, and then I saw some highlight of him on the Sans Pression. Sans Pression was a rapper from Montreal, and then he was entering in with his French song, and it was so good. And I was like, oh my God, he's so amazing. Then I started to get more educated about martial arts, and then I fell in love with striking. And I'd never been that much of a wrestler growing up. So the the three top fighters that still to this day are the most amazing for me was Jose Aldo, Anthony Pettis, and Donald Cerrone. Like, those three strikers, unfortunately, most of the guys who arrive watching UFC because of Conor, and it's not a jab at them, it's okay, but they didn't have this whole goosebump thing when Run This Down from Jose Aldo was running in Brazil, UFC 142 against Chad Mendes, this and that. It was blowing up the roof, man. Like, Jose Aldo was the king of featherweight, and like, I had goosebump every time I saw him live performing. Anderson Silva as well. Like, most of the new generation of fans arrived because of Conor. And like I said, there's nothing wrong against that. I'm not going to say, oh, you're casual, whatever. It's not a jab at them. It's okay because you got interest into our sports. And I love the fact that they have. But they didn't have this feeling when Jose, Cowboy, Cowboy, they lived it, of course. But the prime of Anthony Pettis and Aldo were like so amazing to me. Like, the biggest chills I had were coming from these two men, and three men, sorry. And I'm actually saddened that Cowboy didn't fight, but that means it was not his last. Like, it was not the last time I see him. Like, next Cowboy fight is gonna be the last, and there's something that's gonna mess around with my heart when that happened.
Oh, absolutely. I know we do have some community questions. So, Bryce, I'll let you go ahead and I'll let you take away with those community questions. Bryce, go ahead.
Sure. Well, Charles, first off, I gotta thank you. I put a little bit of money on you in
Oi!
the
Good
fight,
call.
you know.
Of
So again, thank you for that. But
course.
this one's a personal question before I get to community ones.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was the Ewell fight. But there's the moment where you were bloodied up and uh, like you could see yourself turn into a next gear. Would you be able to touch or talk about your mentality like in that moment? Just because I'm really curious, and it was phenomenal to see you
Yeah.
kick it into high gear.
Yeah. So basically, I had the mentality of a warrior. You know, I was going in there, and like every time I fight, like all of my fights except the Ewell fight were finished. I choked them or I knocked them out. That's what I do. So I never had like this waiting for a decision moment until I faced Ewell. And the second gear, I think I always have had it, but the moment it intensify is when I lost to what's his name, Erosa. Erosa got me into a Darce choke from a very awkward position, and that's up to him. It was a beautifully executed submission, but my mind just clicked. Like if there was no referee, and it was mano a mano in a gladiator coliseum, I would have been dead. And then I asked myself, it's something to be ready to kill, but are you ready to die? Because if you're not ready to die, you won't be ready to kill to like bring yourself to the next level, you know? So after the Erosa loss, because when I lost against these guys, I always lose by decision, and I get up and I'm ready to fight like for 5 more rounds. I never been bloodied, like elbow to the face, cut, whatever. Every time I lost was mostly guys holding me against the cage and me trying to push away. And because of my lack of physicality, I would lose to these more powerful dudes. But that's up to them. They did what they had to do to win, you know. But yeah, when I lost to Erosa, it was the first time I was like, man, I would have been dead. It would have been over, like story written, story over. So yeah, it just sparks something in your brain that you're like, no, 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 no. I'm ready to die and I'm ready to kill. And yeah, that's what you saw against Evil. At the end, I was pissed. I was actually pissed because he was not attacking me. I got frustrated because I like to counter strike like against Vannata. He was charging me and I boom, I throw him the left. Same thing with Erosa. Like most of these guys were rushing me, I can counter pretty easily. But Ewell was just a defeated man who was being super evasive when I was trying to finish him. And I was frustrated. I was like, come on, like do something. And it might sound weird. And I got a little bit pissed because I'm like, because this guy is a family man, you know, I don't have any children, but I was like, you're not even fighting back. And knowing that you're gonna double your purse if you finish me, you're gonna buy more stuff for those kids and like I was frustrated that you're not even trying. You're on the biggest stage. You know how many fucking fighters want to be in your spot right now? You know how many fighters in the world want to be in the UFC and you're not fighting back and you're shelling up and you're not attacking me, you're not doing anything, and it bite me in my face. And I was like, come on, dude. And I was like, come on, like do something, like hit me. And when he hit me again, I was spitting. He hit me with a little push kick to the face, and you see me like I was happy about that. I was like, okay, now you're talking. And then that's when I throw the flurry, and then I push kicked him, and it was not out of anger towards the men, but it was out of anger about this whole thing I just explained. Like there's a lot of people who want to be in your place. So do something about it. And unfortunately, he got kicked out of the UFC probably because of that lack of come on, let's do it. Like me, you saw me getting knocked down by Choi, and I got up and I was like, you know what? If you're gonna kill me, it's gonna take every single part of your soul, man. So yeah, this is a little fire that I have inside of me, and I'm glad I have that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be where I am today.
For sure. And honestly, it's an incredible spirit that you have just to see you on the stage. I know you touched on Erosa, and this actually leads into my next question. This is from Jack Keshin. He said,
sir.
out of your 4 professional losses, which fighter that you lost to would you most likely want to have a rematch with?
It would be Rosa, of course. Like he finished me, and I don't have a stain. I don't hold grudge because I think it's stupid to hold emotion towards uh, anything. I'm not a very emotional guy, but out of my, pride and the man that I am, I would love to fight him again. And of course, he got me, and I have very good interaction with the guy. Nothing personal, but mano a mano again. I would love to do that again one day.
Well, I know it would definitely be a barn burner.
Yes.
I think I have one more question before we let you go, because
Yes,
I know
sir.
you're a busy man. But this one's from AC, and he or she wants to ask, in the featherweight division, there are prospects and established names. At the moment, you're currently seeing more in the prospect area. So how do you plan to make that jump and cement yourself as a contender and along those fronts?
Okay, I'll try to be quick with that one, but I got a little bit of stuff to explain because I need to fight good names. I'm a guy who wanted to fight Cub. Cub wanted to do his retirement fight against Faber or something like that. So I respect that. Like I'm not going to push against that, but I need to fight a name that gives me value. And so I need to increase my value to the point that these top guys who have already established name are like, okay, let's fight this kid. Because let's say I fight the kid Sabatini, who's very good, but he's good at controlling people. But he's good. He's a good featherweight prospect, but he doesn't have a proper name that can propulse me towards those top 15. So you need to fight good guys near the top 15 who have been around for a long time to make sure that they can help you reach that top. Like a victory against Edson Barbosa has nothing to do with a victory against lesser known featherweight. So me, it's very important to have a good name in my next fight. But whatever the UFC say, but yeah, like because one thing I hate, by the way, is when people say, "Oh, he fought nobodies in the UFC." I'm like, do you know the quality of fighters there is in the UFC? When it gets to top 10-ish, okay, these guys are very special. But like the guys in the UFC, when you get to the UFC, you're not a nobody. You're a very, very dangerous man. Like we always see these up and coming prospect and like, oh, this guy's gonna destroy everybody in the UFC. Wins one fight, lose 3 in a row, boom, cut, you're out, doesn't exist anymore. How many times this has happened? So many times. So UFC, there's no nobodies. There's a couple of them. CM Punk was not the greatest fighter. There's a lot of there's not a lot of situation like this. But yeah, you need to find proper fighters who already have glory behind them to make sure that your name get established even more. That would be my answer.
Excellent, man. Well, the Martial Army is here supporting you. We appreciate you sharing your story with us. I know a lot of people in the comments are very inspired by your story. I personally loved watching you fight. So awesome, man. I really appreciate you being on, taking this interview with us. And we all wish you the best of luck on your next one. And you have a good day, man.
Thank you, gentlemen. It was a pleasure.
Thanks. All right, guys. So we're going to bring on Ian Heinisch. Let's bring Ian up. Ian, what's going on, my man?
Brandon, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you guys getting me on again. Not my normal studio. I'm down here in the Florida Keys for my wife's birthday weekend. So, yeah, man, I'm excited to talk to you guys and excited to bring Aljo on, the undisputed champ, the guy who beat Peter Yan. What is up, brother? Aljo, good to see you, my man. How you doing?
What's happening, fellas? Is my mic okay?
Yeah, you sound good.
Yes, sir.
We're all about quality over here.
That's right.
Hey, we're still improving, so you're all good. So what's going on, man? How you feeling?
I feel great, man. I'm on top of the world still and just enjoying life as it comes day by day.
Awesome. Well, I know for the last fight, we had a lot of marshals supporting you for the last one. Do you mind going over just how you felt during that fight and just kind of a breakdown of what went on?
I mean, for me, I felt great going into the fight, and I felt great on fight day, which is what I felt was the difference from the first fight. And I said it before, and Peter Yan even tweeted to me in the morning of the fight. He goes, "Make sure you eat a big breakfast this time." And I said, "Okay." You think it's a joke, but there's a reason why I look like that, and I wasn't talking shit. So I think people put a lot of stock into how good he is, and kind of forgot about how good I am as well. We both got here for a reason. We both put in some serious work, and I think the fans saw one bad performance and kind of just wrote me off. So going into the fight, I felt good. I felt like I had a really good performance, and I felt a little bit of ring rust, but I still felt like I did enough to win the fight, where in rounds 4, I kind of just chilled when I was in that half guard, full guard position. And then in rounds 5, I kind of felt the same, where I was kind of just playing the game of, well, he needs a finish in order to win the fight. And maybe next time going into the later rounds, I don't think I could take those chances with people who are kind of now onto my game, where, if I'm winning, I don't got to do too much, play the smart route. Don't go into a firefight, give these guys an opportunity to try and trade and play rock'em sock'em robot, and hopefully to get a knockout, create the scramble, keep the grappling initiative going. And, that's more of the game that I want. So I think I implemented the game plan that we worked out all training camp, and Jan fought my game and not his.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Aljo, I just want to say, man, congratulations first off, bro. I know how long you've been grinding. We've trained together a little bit at Factory X and trained at Extreme Couture. We've crossed paths a few times in our career. And, man, it's just so cool to see what you're doing now. And, unfortunately, like you said, fans see one bad fight when you've had like 10 finishes or like 10 amazing fights, and all they remember is your last fight. Unfortunately, that's kind of how the fans are. But how do you credit your last performance? I know you moved to Las Vegas part-time, training with Extreme Couture, Coach Eric, some guys I'm very familiar with. And, man, you looked incredible, bro. Like the most shredded you've ever looked. Your mentality just seemed incredible. Do you credit a lot of that for a little bit of the change being close to the PI and everything?
I mean, physically, in terms of being here in Vegas, the PT is second to none. I mean, I got to really put in some serious time with that, and I had to pull out of the fight because, one, I wasn't cleared, and then 2, physically, I didn't feel good, which is pretty much what the doctor said it was going to be, what it was going to be. I could have fought probably in like a December, but they rushed me back a little bit too soon. And you know what, man? I don't know. I don't know if maybe the injury played a big factor in how I looked, not having that atrophy and stuff like that in terms of what I was able to do building up into that last training camp. So I felt like I was in the best physical shape of my life. I think the pictures kind of showed that as well. I don't know what to really credit that to. I think maybe I was able to put in more time because I wasn't feeling banged up, with the neck injury before, man, even before the Jan fight, I've been dealing with this for 10 years, and I would have to take off 1 to 7 days in training just because I would have a bad flare up. So I'm just fortunate that that's all behind me now, and I can continue to train and push through an entire training camp without saying, man, I got my neck jacked up from a guillotine. Now I have to sit out, and I got to miss practice for the next couple of days because my body needs to recover in order to keep up this threshold of the rest of this training camp.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when you get further in your career, you just realize how important the recovery is. And shout out to the PI, man. Their PT is second to none. Shout out to Heather, Bobby, the rest of the crew down there. I mean, it's super nice. You get to train at all these amazing gyms and literally go every single day to get a bunch of PT on you. I know you're super loyal with your coaches back in New York, and you've been with them forever. And I saw that they did corner you. And, man, I just love that they were cool with you being able to move, understanding your situation. And, yeah, man, I mean, what do you feel is next for you now? I mean, you beat the guy who everybody thought this guy was unbeatable, like even me, like, I'm not going to lie, Aljo, I was like, man, this is a tough fight for Aljo. You know what I'm saying? Just based on the last fight. And then you went in, bro. I was there live and you looked incredible, man. So what do you see next, man? I mean, you're the undisputed champ, and now you're going to just continue that run. So who is on your radar at this moment?
Thank you. And, 2, I know there's a lot of my colleagues out there that were doubting me and talking shit and throwing shade my way. But at the end of the day, I'm one of those guys who kind of takes that in, embraces it, and uses that for fuel. After that first fight, I try to explain this to people ad nauseum until I realized the fans didn't give a shit what I was saying. The media didn't give a shit of what I was saying, and it kind of painted a picture and made me look like kind of an asshole. And it is what it is. People perception is reality, I guess, for most people. So the people that actually do know me, they actually know how I really am in person, and they know I like to have fun, and they know people could talk shit, and it doesn't bother me one bit. I said what I said about the performance. I said if I truly felt Jan was a better athlete and fighter, I would have said it, and I would have said I needed to close the gap in terms of skill set. But I really didn't feel that was the difference in the fight. I felt the difference was my rehydration process the day of, which is a silly excuse, but it's all valid. If I got no ego to say another guy was better than me. If he was better, I said he was better than me that night. You say any place, anywhere, anytime. That night he was better, and he blew it. And he gave me an opportunity to come in and rehydrate the right way this time and show that I'm really the best guy in the world right now. And thankfully, he made a bonehead mistake. But I'm fortunate. My coaches do understand the expenses process of everything. I got a big family. I got a lot of people to help take care of. And I'm trying to build an empire, so I'm doing this one fight at a time, taking one step forward every time. I don't know who I'm going to be fighting next. Maybe Sayudo, maybe Dillashaw, and I know Aldo's tossed his name in the hat as well. So there's options. But I'm here to make money as everybody else is. This is prize fighting. There's a short career window, and I think all these guys are tough when you get to this point of the game. So it's got to be an opponent that makes the most sense in terms of making ends meet. And that's kind of where I'm at right now in my career and my mentality. So I fought enough to kind of build my name and credibility. Now let's get paid, that's what it's all about. We got into the sport, for glory, but at the end of the day, we all got in this to change our lives, to change our fortunes for ourselves and our family. And that's what's most important to me right now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you're absolutely right. Like, the journey is so exciting for you right now. You have amazing prospects in your way, and the opponent needs to match the money. I completely agree. What's your thoughts on Marshall Inu, paying fighters in crypto and now actually making history? Now the UFC is giving out bonuses in Bitcoin. What's your thoughts on this whole crypto movement and Marshall Inu actually being the game changer and the trendsetter in all of this?
Well, shout out to Marshall Inu. Thank you guys for taking care of us, because it's a big help, especially for a lot of fighters. When I first came into this game, man, 2014 to the UFC, I think I might have had one sponsor that was trying to pay me like $500, just taking advantage of the fighters, kind of fighters and managers cutting the legs from underneath each other, lowballing each other so that they can get their guy $200 more kind of thing, instead of kind of sticking together. So it's nice to have good brands that are behind us and actually putting their best foot forward to try to help change the game and the landscape of the way things are I guess, perceived kind of thing. So I'm fortunate about that, but honestly, I can't remember what the exact question was, if I'm being 100% honest.
Oh, yeah. No, you're good, man. It's just basically, Marshall Inu has come on the scene out of nowhere, and
Yes.
they're basically, the fans, all the people are coming together in their Telegram. They're voting on fight of the night. And in the beginning at UFC 272, they were paying $5,000 all the fighters on the undercard, $5,000 for an extra shout out, and $10,000 on the main card. Same deal. And Crypto.com came in, and now they're actually paying fighters same type of deal. We're not going to, it's pretty obvious that they kind of, use the same method that Marshall Inu made the, changed history there. Yeah. And now people are getting paid not only in Ethereum, but they're getting a Bitcoin bonus as well. This is unheard of, man. We never got bonuses in crypto. And now you're seeing fighters being able to not only win the 50 Gs, but you can win the bonus from Marshall Inu and the bonus from Bitcoin. What's your thoughts on just how crypto is coming so mainstream and merging into the MMA scene, and Marshall Inu being on the forefront of that?
I think it's great. It's nice to see that we're keeping up with the times, at least the UFC is, and they're trying to not kind of get lost in the shuffle, I guess. And I think it's good on them that they're actually putting the time into to see that this is going to be here for a long haul, I think. And I appreciate it in the sense that it's not going anywhere, So it's nice that everyone's kind of jumping on board, and I think it's cool that we are. I'm trying to think of the right terminology for it, but I guess the main thing I could say is, you know, Inu is where it's at, you know. So they're keeping up with the trend, and they're making a difference in terms of fighter pay and stability and things like that inside and outside the octagon. And I think that's what's most important, because at the end of the day, you can't fight forever, and to make sure that you're bringing something in even outside of showing up to compete, it's a very nice cherry on top, for lack of better words. So it's nice to see crypto trying to take over that space as well, and Marshall Inu doing the same thing as well, and really utilizing the UFC platform and making as big of a splash as we can in the crypto space.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, the UFC's always kind of been the first to do stuff. Obviously, you know, they were the first to put on a live event after COVID. Dana White really stays up with the time. So hats off to him and the UFC, the whole team there. Yeah, it's pretty awesome too, man, because we don't have retirement, right? Maybe we keep that Ethereum, we keep that Bitcoin sitting in our wallet. We wait 5 to 10 years. That could be our retirement plan. And so it's really been a cool thing. Brandon, I'm going to let you go ahead. Do you have a question from one of the fans?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read off one of the community questions we have from Crypto J. Aljo, if you can fight anyone in their prime, regardless of weight class, who would you pick?
Regardless of weight class,
Yeah.
any fighter in their prime, regardless of weight class, maybe Uriah Faber. I mean,
Okay.
I think, you know, legend of the sport. He's one of the baddest men in the little men in blue, as they would say back in the days for WEC. So that would actually be a fun fight.
No, that's interesting. And I'm going to take the opportunity to ask my own question. I'm like a younger, upcoming bantamweight, and I have the opportunity to ask the champion of the world at bantamweight a question. So I see, you know, in the past you've kind of just fought through injuries. I've read an article. You just kind of grinded through injuries, and then you actually finally took care of this issue with your neck. What does your balance look like now as the champion of kind of your training day, recovery? What does a day of the champ kind of look like for you?
You want the honest answer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now, it's PT and working my beer muscles or tequila muscles, you know, or sometimes rum. You know, I like rum a lot. Right. I've trained for 13 months to get ready and get back for this fight. And then before that, I had the fight with Sandhagen that I was also out for a year for with my wrist surgery. You know, so I've been through a lot. You know, I'm one of those guys who likes to fight consistently, and I haven't been able to do that. So to finally be healthy and to compete at a high level and not have any more, well, hopefully, knock on wood, not have any more setbacks. It's cool, but at the same time, it kind of gets exhausting. So I'm using this time now to kind of just decompress and really just enjoy the fruits of my labor and take some time to actually smell the roses, because you kind of get lost in the shuffle, and for a while I felt like there was no light at the end of the tunnel. And man, the amount of work that I had to put in just to get back here, it felt like it was never going to happen again. And that is why I was super emotional just getting on the scale, you know, because I thought I was never going to have a day like that again. So to actually have that happening and to make that walk, there's something to be said about that. So I was super appreciative of that. And yeah, so now I'm just kind of just hanging out and just enjoying my time and making the most of it while I can. You know, I don't want to be out too long. You know, I had a year-long break, and then I had another 13-month break. So it'll be nice to fight a little bit sooner. But, you know, I definitely want to take some time to kind of just chill, let my body recoup, because I still had some nagging injuries before the fight, and that kind of got a little bit worse just from some of the kicks that I checked on my arm. With the elbows and stuff and my knees. You know, I just want to make sure that those are taken care of before I get into the next training camp. We're actually going to Jamaica tomorrow, so
Let's
go. Finally get to kick my feet up in the motherland country.
Hey, Aljo, I really resonate with all this, man, because you know, coming this summer, I haven't fought for a year, man, and I had to pull out of my last fight in February against Sam Alvey. I received a pretty bad concussion in training, and it just seemed like the side effects, like I tried to come back too early. I made it worse, and I had terrible headaches, terrible side effects. And thankfully, Marshall Inu came along and paid for a stem cell treatment that has really made me feel a lot better. And now I'm finding out that it might be an issue with my nose, all this infection that's giving me the headaches. However, this summer, it's going to be a full year of me not fighting. And that's been the longest in my career. And I had to stop training for almost 3 months. What advice could you give me and maybe other fighters dealing with injury? Because, bro, you've overcame so much. And what mentality? Because a lot of people write you off and, you know, it's like, are you even going to fight again? And you question yourself at the same time. However, I keep grinding. I keep working around whatever I can. Obviously, I can't push through the concussion, but I'm feeling better. I'm about to be starting back in the gym full time. What advice could you bring to me in that mindset that I should have coming back?
You know, I'll be straightforward, man. It's tough, man, because mentally it can really take a toll, especially when you start looking. Like for me, I live in New York, and now in Vegas. You know, I split my time, but financially, it can stress a lot of things and weigh down on you. Especially if I have a big family, and I take care of a lot for my siblings. You know, so yeah, sometimes it feels like the weight's on the weight of the world is on your shoulders, and you could kind of have that resentment to the sport almost sometimes, and to try to keep a glass half full perspective. And that's the way I try to live my life. When something negative happens or something bad happens, I try to be glass half full and try to figure out different ways to spin it and make it into some type of positive for me. Getting kneed in the head was not great for me. Would I have rather had gone without that? But glass half full, I'm like, well, now I get a second opportunity to do this the way that I wanted to, right? So it's another way to kind of spin it and look at things from a different set of a different lens. Again, it's not easy, man, but I think the mind is a very powerful tool, and it really just depends on how you look at things. So my advice would just know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, you know. That's really it. Like, no matter how long it takes, just kind of remind yourself, like, you keep staying the course, take things day by day. Because when you start to look at things like a month or two, a year in advance, that type of thing, kind of like a training camp, right? We try to break it down. When you start to look at an entire training camp, it can kind of weigh on you, and you're going to go like, this is going to be a long camp, you know, 8-week, 12-week type of thing. But when you break it down, take it day by day, it makes it that much easier to get through. And then when you start to count the days up or look behind you, you realize how much time has passed, whether or not it's for the better in terms of improvement, or just in terms of your goal of just getting back, you know? So, again, it's not easy, but I think taking a glass half full approach is the best way to kind of go about that. And I think that's what really, really helped me getting back into the octagon.
Yeah, man, absolutely, bro. And that's kind of the way I've been looking at it too. Like, it's actually given me time. Like, I've started my own YouTube channel. Shout out to Marshall Inu, like really bringing me so deep in the crypto game now, and being able to provide for my family while I haven't fought. You know, obviously, like you said, man, the financial stress. I take care of a lot of things as well, not siblings, but my father and stuff like that. So, you know, the stress is definitely on. So I've used that time to really dive deep in crypto. I've really grown my following in that, grown my Twitter up, and just been working on other stuff besides that, and kind of starting another business essentially. And like you said, bro, day to day is so important. And I have been doing that, and that's helped so much, because you get in that mindset like, man, am I ever going to get back? Like, no, today was a good day. I got better. Now let's see how the next day goes, you know? And
100%.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think another way is like, man, it can always be worse, man.
Yeah, always.
Like, you ever see those pictures on like social media? It's like, this guy is sad he doesn't have the nicest car. This guy's sad he doesn't have a decent car. This guy's sad he doesn't have a bike.
Car. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's all about perspective, man. So
yeah, absolutely.
It could always be worse. You know, the one guy's complaining about not having shoes, and this guy's worried about not having feet. You know, so it's like we take so much for granted, and to really try to put things in perspective, like, man, I always tell people when I wake up, like, even after a rough day of sparring or whatever it is, I'm just like, man, another day above ground is a blessing in itself, you know. And I'm just happy to be here. Yeah,
absolutely. You kind of change that mindset. I got to I get to, and everything in your day-to-day life. And I'm sure not only me, I take a lot away from what you just said, but probably a lot of people listening, man, in life too. taking it day by day and seeing where God has you, because maybe he's putting up a block for you to grow in another area, and then you'll be able to come back, or you're maybe just changing courses entirely. But yeah, man, I really appreciate that advice, and I really take that to heart, and I appreciate you just coming out and being so open about that, the mindset you had to get you back. So I appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a couple community questions. So, Bryce, I don't know if you want to take away with those. Grab some. I know we have a few. I know we have one from Rick we wanted to mention. Yep, Rick says, are you excited about any young and upcoming Jamaican fighters?
So,
go ahead, Bryce. Sorry.
No worries. Off of what Brandon was saying, are you excited about any young and upcoming Jamaican fighters? I know, obviously, the competition is there. I know yourself, you come from a Jamaican background, and I know Randy Brown, who won last week, you were an avid supporter of him. If you could talk more about it, that'd be wonderful.
If I'm being honest, I don't know too many of the prospects coming up, because I feel like the platform to really give the exposure isn't really all there yet. The main thing that's important, though, is that we are getting a lot more traction with people just getting in the gym. And I think with the amount of talent and athletes that we have, we can really do some damage on the MMA scene. So with that being said, there is one guy I do know, Delano Taylor, Postman, they call him.
Yep.
I believe he fights for PFL right now. I think he just won the first round or something like that.
Yeah, he's at Sanford with me. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
So I know the guys that are actively out there and kind of promoting themselves, so I get to see those type of people. But you got him, you got Jackson. Jason Jackson.
Yep.
And then obviously you got the couple guys in the UFC from Leon Edwards, but these guys aren't prospects anymore. These guys are kind of doing it at this point. But yeah, I think once we get a little bit of more of a platform to kind of really elevate the sport in Jamaica itself and giving these guys an opportunity to actually hone and craft their skills, I think you're going to see a lot of guys. There's the other guy, the Red Lion down in Florida as well. I think he's with you guys.
What's his name?
Matthew.
Not sure. I know we have Jason Jackson and Delano, but
yeah, he has dreads, like blonde dreads.
Yeah, I think
I think he's down there with you guys as well. I met him when I went back to Jamaica in 2017. So there are some guys, but again, it's just about having the resources. And I think once you have that opportunity, these guys can really make some noise.
Absolutely.
No, and that's for sure. Obviously, I know, again, you're one of the few representatives coming out of the Caribbean. There's yourself, Randy Brown, a couple other people you mentioned earlier, as well as like Jairzinho Rosenstrike. How does it feel representing such a large community with so few fighters?
It's cool. It's really cool, man, because it's like I'm not the pioneer, but it's cool that I'm helping to bring awareness and recognition to this sport overall. And I remember when I went back in 2017, I did a bunch of pro bono seminars, just went there. They don't really have mats and stuff down in the country. We have mostly like these puzzle pieces and things like that. So the resources aren't there, but the one gym we went to in the boxing ring, I forget what town that was in, and I was showing them BJJ, and I was showing them like a rear naked choke finish and an armbar finish from the rear naked choke position. And it's just so funny how like still young-minded everybody is, because you're grabbing another man from the back and they're kind of like, whoa, what is this? What is it? I'm like, listen, guys, this is going to help teach you guys how to defend yourself when you get into a scuffle. So don't look at it like, oh, it's weird, you're grabbing up another man. It's like, it's not like that, man. So that's just the mentality that's down there still. So I just think when we have the actual resources and get to really show these guys, like the country as a whole. But yeah, I think it's cool that I'm actually able to help. What would you call that? Help build something down there, So I'm hoping that there's more to come, and hopefully you guys are gonna see a lot more young savages coming up in the game.
Yeah, I know we can't wait. It's definitely incredible what I've seen you do for the community. And I know a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, again, a lot of people do look up to you. I know I was a big fan of you when I used to see you wrestle in college because I'm out of the Rochester area. So I'm pretty familiar. Yeah. So, it's incredible to see where you're at now from when I saw you several years back. But yeah, I know you're, again, a pioneer for the community itself. I know a lot of people do look up to you, so it's incredible. The last question I want to ask, this is actually another community question from Flow State. And basically, what's the first meal you get in after making weight? Because, it's obviously, it takes a lot to have to cut. What's that first thing that you want to have once you get off that scale?
Some fluids, man. The first thing you put back in your body is always fluids, because if you start to eat too soon when you're so dehydrated and you put food in, it like causes your body to kind of like freak out and have like spasms, so you could end up in the hospital really, really quick if you try to eat right after you jump on the scale. So the first few hours, like I would say the first 3 hours, is mostly fluids that you're pounding, putting in. And I don't want to say, let me not say pounding, so this way people don't go crazy and the next, they end up in the hospital anyway. You want to take your time and slowly give your body the time to absorb those nutrients, all the electrolytes and everything you cut out and pulled from your body to help make weight in those last few hours, so it does take a big toll on your body. But after those first few hours, I think my first meals, it's normally like a pasta or something like that. That's like ideal for me, because something I do enjoy eating is carbs. Carbs turn into fats when you're not using it to burn it for energy. So, if I have an excess of that, I'm getting extra fat. I'm super skinny, so I need some of that fat to kind of coat my bones so that you have more protection from injury. So this is like more of a scientific approach, just being as super lean as I am, so I have almost like no cushioning on my body when I get down to weight. So almost everything hurts. Sitting on the floor hurts. Anything like that's like a hard surface to sit on, that all, it all hurts my body, just being that lean. So I got to make sure that I'm doing the fluids. I do the carbs, which is usually my pastas. And then after that, maybe I have like some steak or some fish. I like to go to a buffet though, because at the buffet, I can have a cupcake. I can have one cookie. I can maybe have a little bit of ice cream, have my rice, have my pasta, just a little bit of everything, man. I just kind of like just try to like, satisfy all the cravings that I had while I was making this crazy weight cut. I walk around like 65 to 68. Sometimes I get over 170 where I'm just being ridiculous. So I'm a big guy for this weight class. So I'm just trying to, after I make weight, I want to kind of enjoy life a little bit while still being professional, so that I don't botch the weight cut going into the fight, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's insane. I've seen you. I think I saw on Instagram one time you stepped on the scale and you're like 176. I'm like, as a bantamweight, what the hell, man? Like how? But yeah, no, that's insane. And then your physique is just insane. By the time you get down to weight, you're leaned out and shredded. So yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun. I'll tell you that.
Do we have any more community questions?
No,
I know we got a bunch of comments rolling in. I know one of the guys said, this isn't a question, but tell Aljo I said thank you. I bet a lot of MRI on him to beat Jan on Mystic Bets, and he won a ton, so he knew you'd win. And if you don't know, we have Mystic Bets. Basically, people bet their MRI tokens, and they get a nice return when people like you win for them. So,
no, I'm glad to see it. Glad to hear it.
Yeah, you have a lot of support within the martial army. Ian, I'll leave it up to you if you want to have any other questions.
Yeah, man. I just want to wrap it up by saying, obviously with your first fight with Jan, a lot of people were throwing shade at you, and you kind of embraced it. You're like, whatever. Then, yeah, you guys want to. There was nothing you did wrong at all that fight, and people are mad at you for some reason, but that's kind of how the fans are. But you kind of embraced this bad guy, and then you came in and you silenced all the haters. And now I think a lot of your haters are becoming fans. So is there anything that you would lastly like to just tell them for people that maybe not know you? Because I know you personally, and you're down to earth, chill dude that the media portrays you a little different. Sometimes you portray yourself a little different. But is there something that you would like to tell some of the haters or the people that doubted you? And because I know they want to become one of your fans, and they probably just want to hear a last message from you to kind of speak to them.
Honestly, the haters, they can suck it, but that's really it. I'm gonna live my life for me, not living my life for other people. You know, I do what makes me happy, and if they don't like the way I live my life, it's just kind of crazy that you could be mad at somebody else for being fouled. You can say whatever you want about faking. I guess people have been kneed in the head, so they know what that feels like and how you should act after being blatantly kneed in the head with a fight-ending knee. They know how people should respond and act.
Yeah.
Like I guess that's a normal thing that we've seen countless cases of, that we could go online and go, okay, this happened. He reacted this way. She reacted this way. It's like, what are you guys talking about? So, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't please anybody. I'm here to please myself, pause, and that's it. You know, just the people that I love, the people that truly know me and care about me. At the end of the day, these are people behind a computer screen that I'm probably never going to see. And if I do see, they're probably going to be nice to me, which is just the weirdest thing. It's like, why talk shit if you're going to be nice to me in person? I don't get it. You know, at the end of the day, this is all we can do. Just be people, be good people when we see other people, and that's it. So hate me, love me, either way. I'm just here to entertain, and I think I'm doing a good job of that, whether they like me or they hate me.
Absolutely, guys. Well, you heard it here first. Aljo is going to continue being Aljo. We love it, man. You are the champ for a reason. You are on a tear. The journey has just begun for you. We're super excited. The Marshall Army is behind you, man. And, man, I really appreciate your heartfelt message for me, just getting back into it. And, man, I'm inspired to be where you're at someday, and I'm going to keep working my ass off to get there. And we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate Brandon for all the great questions. And Bryce, the man, the mastermind of all of this, and Simon and his team. We appreciate you guys for fighting for fighters, putting your money where your mouth is. And not only that, just building a community inside the crypto space that supports MMA fighters. So thank you guys so much. And thank you, Aljo, for taking time out of your day.
Thank you,
Aljo,
guys.
thank
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Brandon, thank you, guys. Bryce, thank you. Ian, thank you as well. Marshall, Inu, thank you, guys. Let's go.
Let's go.
Love it. Love it.
Awesome.
All right, guys, that was an awesome show. Yeah, Ian, thank you so much. I think we're good to call it on that. Bryce, thank you so much, guys. I think that was a great show today. Much improvement from each episode. And continue to grow, keep moving.
I think
I know if sorry, I don't mean to cut you guys off.
No,
I think again the community owes it to both Ian and Brandon for joining me today. It was an honor to interview not only Charles but also our now undisputed Bantamweight champion in Aljamain Sterling. It was exciting to be here today, and I know that's the same sentiment we're going to be carrying forward throughout the current market conditions. Regardless of what the market may do, MRI will be unaffected. We have a lot of stuff in store. Like I said, I know we've talked about our NFTs that we're looking to release soon. For those of you who are tuning in, if you actually look at my profile picture, it's one of one that will be available in the coming weeks. We're just fine-tuning some stuff on the back end, so I can't wait to be able to share that with the community, as well as some other stuff on the development side. We'll also be hosting more weekly VCs within the Telegram itself. For those who aren't there, definitely hop into our Telegram. It's one of the best ways to get information. And last, the other thing I do recommend is staying tuned to our Twitter. Our Twitter is the best source of information in regards to MRI and all updates. It's our best news source, and yeah, it's where we've been able to build and grow our community, and meet the wonderful people that I'm speaking with right now. So again, thank you to the community. Thank you, Ian, and thank you, Brandon.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, guys. And guys, just remember, right now in these bearish times, find coins, find tokens with big, strong communities that continue to work through the bear market. because I promise you the accumulation that's happening right now, when this market bounces back, it's going to be a violent bounce back. It's going to fly up. And you guys want to make sure you're buying into the right projects that will get you in a position to set yourself up for life. Millionaires are made in these times. When people see fear, you should see an opportunity. And man, Marshall Inu is a hell of an opportunity. And I'm blessed to be on the team. And thank you, Bryce. Thank you, Brandon. Guys, tell your friends about this show. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button so we can build the algorithm to get it out to more people. And make sure you guys follow Marshall Inu on Twitter. They have 27,000 followers at the moment, and they are just continuing to grow this community. Guys, get involved. Tell your friends, and we'll see you guys next Friday.